Thank you. Without further ado, I present Dale Knoop.
Thank you, Amy. It's great to be with everybody today. I wish I would have the opportunity to meet all of you. I always enjoy presenting to people that are in the philanthropic space because it's so wonderful for me to be able to hear the stories of the things that they're doing and how they found themselves to be in the position of helping nonprofits. And that's really what drove me to create Raise Mobile, was my desire to take what I know about mobile data services after my lengthy background in mobile data services and build a service that I thought would be able to help nonprofits. I was deeply concerned a few years ago about the seeming reliance on things like text-to-give. And so I put this presentation together to kind of share a wealth of information with folks like yourselves. And again, I'm honored and thrilled to be with you today. So as Amy pointed out, this is my background. I was the TV guy at Sprint in the early 2000s. Sprint was the first wireless carrier in the United States to offer live television services. At one point in time, the services that we had over 300,000 people paying for live TV in the palm of their hand, and it was wildly successful. And it was an indicator of how popular video would become down the road. And certainly there's a lot of talk about video on mobile surpassing even the amount of time that people watch TV. I am a patent holder, and I'm also an Emmy Award winner. You see a picture there of me with the Emmy. It was a very strange experience to be called and said, "You've won an Emmy." I was sitting in my cube at the Sprint campus here in Overland Park, Kansas, and I thought it was a joke, but it was true, and we did. And it was a tremendous recognition to Sprint back then for its leadership in data services. As I mentioned, I created Raise Mobile to help nonprofits deal with what I saw as the challenges coming at them as the mobile internet starts to take over. There's a wealth of information that comes at us each day that suggests just that, and I've got some of it here. But like it or not, the mobile internet is becoming the internet of choice. There's a great deal of data out there that suggests that it's the first internet that we go to, and it's only going to increase that way because, as I've written about in my blog, and I encourage you to follow my blog, I've said that this is the internet that we've always wanted. It's the one that you can carry around with you, and it's more snack-sized than it is sitting down and consuming a great deal of content at one time. These are just some logos of nonprofits that we support today. The gist of what we do in this slide is really to, represent that we've got nonprofits on our platform from all sectors of the nonprofit space, and we've got customers from all over the United States. And that just points to the pervasive problem facing nonprofits, and that is, if online is the only channel that's growing right now, and online is racing at mobile, what do we do? How do we reach these people? What's a great experience? How do I attach giving to social media? What do I do about people that are only opening my email on their mobile phone? Things of that, and we'll cover that here. This is by no means a complete list too. We're thrilled to just have added the United Way as one of our customers, and they had a kickoff event here in Kansas City at Arrowhead, and they raised $3,500 in 40 minutes. It was a tremendous experience to see about 1 out of 4 people in the room take out their phone and make a gift right then and there. So these are the talking points that we're going to go over today. I'm going to review the usage trends, I'm going to go over some charitable giving trends. I'm going to talk about some SEO changes that are going on with regard to mobile giving. I'm going to give you some real-life examples of some campaigns that we've been involved in. And then I'm going to leave you with some perceived steps for success, things that we would recommend if we were your unpaid consultant just on a phone call or meeting over a cup of coffee. These are the kinds of things that we would tell you to get you ready to go mobile. So these are the 4 myths that we've been exposed to, and I've heard each of these many times, too many times, from nonprofit experts and nonprofit gurus. There's a great deal of talk out there around how text-to-give is the way to go because it's so easy. As it turns out, it's not so easy. We have many customers that have used text-to-give and said, we will never do that again. And there are many problems that are associated with text-to-give, and we'll go over those later in the presentation. But in juxtaposition to text-to-give, people have said, well, nobody wants to fill a form out on their phone. And the reason is far too many nonprofits are relying on a PC page to do that, which, we won't even shop in for-profit world on a PC page on our mobile phone because we prefer something that's optimized so that we can complete it quickly. There's a myth around only young people will enter their credit card information, and that one is so far from the truth. We're seeing people of all ages make gifts. We're seeing people of all ages make gifts in excess of $1,000 at a time. We're seeing people of all ages set up recurring gifts, which is something that's possible and pretty much mandatory. We've got it on our platform, but you really need to be offering people, when they're in that moment, let them have the full extent of their gift, and perhaps they set something up that's a recurring gift where they never even have to come back and ask again. This is something to security. This is a big myth that's out there. You can follow the same internet protocols and best practices that the leading e-commerce players like Amazon and iTunes and Uber and Airbnb, big global mobile platforms that are out there, you can follow the same best practices that they do, and we do that. That's something that we've done and we built into our service to deal with this specific myth is this isn't secure. And there's a lot of talk around Target breaches and Home Depot breaches, and that really had nothing to do with the internet. It really had to do with malware being deposited by the bad guys on the card readers and them exploiting a flaw in the card readers about not encrypting the reading of the card when the card is read. Myth number 4, people won't store their credit card information for future transactions, for future donations. About 1 in 5 do so on our platform. Why is this important? Because it's important for nonprofits to have easy repeat gifts. If you're constantly asking the person to fill the form out over and over and over for every gift, that can get a little tedious, especially if you're like the Chronicle of Philanthropy says, most nonprofits are relying on 3 or more pages to make a gift. You don't want to do that. People like easy, and like it or not, you're getting compared to their best online experiences in the for-profit world. So nonprofits need to learn from the for-profit world and try to polish their experiences and get to the point where they're emulating best practices, again, like Amazon and iTunes, that allow people to store their credentials securely. And for us, it's a tokenized gateway, which is just saying a great way of saying it can't be hacked. So about 1 in 5 do so on our platform. So we're going to go through these talking points, current mobile usage trends. Hopefully this isn't anything that's new to you. The mobile phone is taking over the planet. This is an old statistic and just continues to rise. I believe the figure right now is 70%. In particular demographic groups like millennials, African Americans, Hispanics, the penetration of smartphones with those groups is higher than the average that's shown here, or the number that's shown here. And for many of those groups, this is their broadband connection. This is their PC. This is their life. They place their life inside the device and use it to communicate and gain information and conduct their internet life through that device. That's just going to continue to drive this number up and up. There's been a lot of talk, too, around the $20 smartphone. They're saying that it's right around the corner, and $20 smartphones are just going to completely change the landscape for philanthropy. This should not be surprising. I think we're all guilty of this. 91% of adults have their phone within arm's reach 24/7. It's often said it's the first screen you check when you wake up. It's the last screen you check when you go to bed. And unfortunately, for too many people, it's the screen they check while they drive, but that's an issue for another day. So this is a great slide. I love this slide. This is the scene from St. Peter's in 2005 when a new pope was named. So there's maybe 2 phones in the audience, and one of them that you can see right there in the lower right-hand corner is a flip phone. So just 9 years ago, this was the landscape. Now look at it. Everybody has their phone on. And the people on the call, you know, you've been to sporting events. The lights go down. I've been to Allen Fieldhouse. I'm a Kansas Jayhawk. I've been to Allen Fieldhouse when they put the lights down, and what you see in the stands is a blue glow because everybody has their phone out. Their phones are with them all the time. And going mobile means you have access now to literally everyone, anywhere, anytime. This one is one that grows by the day, and you could not have said this 6 years ago and said, in 6 years, 25% of Americans will be mobile only on the internet, and yet here we are. And this has been ushered in by the smartphone. And this number will grow from here. I predict that by the end of 2015 that this number will probably be close to 1 in 3. And this is Americans, so you have to think about that from a standpoint of new people. There's a growth of an age group that they will only know the mobile internet. That's all they will know, and they won't own a PC. Mobile traffic as a percentage of global internet traffic, the trend line is increasing. This is from Mary Meeker at Kleiner Perkins. She says that it will get to a very big point down the road, and then it will accelerate from there. So what you're going to see is a trend line that continues this and then starts to go vertical. That should get everybody paused in the philanthropic space, because that means that the amount of time that people are spending their mobile phones is skyrocketing from where it is now, and it already seems very rapid right now. This is something that when you look at this and you think about the success of the Ice Bucket Challenge, this is the equation. Mobile equals social, social equals mobile. The success of the Ice Bucket Challenge was largely created because it became a social media phenomenon. It might have been a little bit better had ALS given people links to the giving page directly without forcing them to go search for ALS and then go through that process. It wasn't impossible to do because they raised a lot of money, but it could have been made easier and a lot more expeditious with a link to say this is where you can give, and really sort of propagated that out there. But look at the statistics here for how much of these social media platforms are mobile. Facebook, over 2/3 of the content there is time on a mobile device. Twitter, even higher. Instagram, very high. That's completely mobile. Vine, again, these are snack-sized platforms. They give you snacks of content, and like it or not, whether you want to call it ADHD or whatever it is, we live in a world where we're dealing with a lot of different information, and the only way that it can be consumed is in snacking. And then, as I used to say when I was the TV guy at Sprint, when people would say, why in the world would anybody watch TV on their phone? And this was back in the early 2000s. I would say, do you know the next time that you're going to be bored? So boredom and satisfying your boredom is a lot like having snacks in front of you and maybe having a few peanuts or a few pretzels or something like that. So the notion of getting somebody to sit down and read your 4-page appeal letter has really just disappeared, and people are now living with form factors that are snack-sized, and it's being driven by the adoption of social content through a mobile phone. Let's talk a little bit about charitable giving trends. Amy had a few of these at the beginning. I've got a few more. 72% of $316 billion annually came from individuals. Charitable giving is the 3rd largest space in the U.S. behind the government and banking. 24 billion was donated online. So online is a very small portion of it, and yet online increased 13.5% in 2013. It's the only channel that's growing right now. 2% of nonprofits are accounting for a huge portion of revenue. What that means is there are a lot of little nonprofits out there living at kind of subsistence level, trying to help those in need, and it was really kind of the inspiration of those people that were out there trying to help people in need but didn't have access to big, expensive platforms. They needed to have some effective tools. That was one of the impetuses behind us building Raise Mobile. This is one that has to just be changed as soon as possible, and that is 84% of nonprofits, their donation landing pages are a PC experience. You'll see a statistic later that I'll share with you that suggests you're losing donations every day because of this. The forms are too complicated to complete in the moment. They're too complicated to complete in about a minute. They've got too many steps. It's actually taking a lot of time just to get the page to render. And as I always say, if the first thing that somebody does when they get to your donation page is pinching and swiping to navigate, navigating is not donating. Donating is picking a dollar amount and moving through the profit. Picking a dollar amount and going through the process of filling out the form is the way to get a donation on all screens. 75% of donors spend less than 2 hours researching. This is further evidence of this being an impulsive activity, and nothing is more impulsive than a mobile phone. 65% of donors make you click 3 or more times. That should really be cut down. It should be very, very quickly to give, and you'll see some slides later. Our repeat giving experience for people that have chosen to store their credentials securely, accessed via a 4-digit PIN, 20 seconds or less on any screen. 62% of Generation Y would give by mobile phones. So there's a wealth of people out there saying, if you ask, I will give. Why do donors use their website? It's to give. They're not going there to check you out. The place that they go to check you out right now is social media. They go there because the content is fresh. They can see what you're talking about. They can see what other people are saying. They can share you with their friends if they want to. The notion of rebuilding your website should be undertaken with a great deal of care, because you may be working on things that people just have no interest in. And the first thing that I would always redesign if I was redesigning my website is get to a giving experience that takes 20 seconds or less on any screen. This is from Charity Engine, direct mail. Just the one thing I'll say about direct mail, and that is it's melting. We all know that. And in fact, what's driving people to go online is direct mail. So the direct mail pieces that are going out, the efficacy and the ROI, the return on investment for direct mail isn't really there, because they're pushing people to go online and make their gift. Why? Because online is typically easier than going and finding a checkbook. If you have a checkbook, we run into people all the time that will say, my son or daughter does not have a checkbook. They don't even know how to write a check. And amazingly, some of them don't even know which corner of the envelope a stamp goes on. So the notion of them giving through direct mail is pretty much obviated. And direct mail is still powerful, don't get me wrong. It should always be used as a channel, but knowing that it's driving people online should morph your use of it. And certainly, if my phone is at arm's length 91% of the time, your direct mail call to action should allow me to give through my phone because it's right there. This is from the Millennial Impact Report. There are 3 of them that I know of. There may be an earlier one, but this was the first one that I saw. The 2012 report that got one out for 2013 and one also for 2014. The key takeaways here, there are 2 of them. When you think about text to give, it's saying 80% of millennials had given via text, but they preferred not to donate via text to avoid charges on their phone. And they don't want to have their donation limited to $10. They would prefer to use a mobile website, but it has to be easy for them to give in the moment. So just as Amy talked about shortening the distance between emotion and a gift, and here they're saying make sure it's unlimited, the way to do it is through a mobile optimized website. And why haven't they given through a mobile optimized website? Because nonprofits have never asked them. And if they're standing there going, I haven't done this, well, why? Because you never asked me. Oh, well, then it's all on me. And if it's all on the nonprofit, asking in places like social media with things like the Ice Bucket Challenge with a great mobile giving experience is a recipe to 2 things: more money and more donors, more new donors. Here's some more great statistics from the Millennial Impact Report. 83%, again, larger than the average, larger than the current state, 83% have smartphones. They live on their smartphones. Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook would tell you that they are addicted to Facebook. 75% of millennials are sharing content. Again, you can see text to give is right below Groupon, and I didn't even know that Groupon had a charitable offering. And so text to give is right between something I've never heard of and talking to somebody on the phone, which, you know, millennials don't want to talk to anybody on the phone. They'd rather text you or talk about you on social media. 52% interested in monthly giving. Let them have a chance to give on a monthly basis. They're willing to raise money on your behalf. Give them a way to crowdfund for you. Make it easy for them to do something for you, even if they're all tapped out. It's that old equation of, hey, I know you're all kind of tapped out, and they say, yes, I am. What else can I do? What else can you do? You can have your own funding page. You can go introduce me to your friends, your family, your social followers, your coworkers, anybody, and you can ask on our behalf, thank you so much. They love success stories because for them, it becomes a little bit about I was a part of a success story, and I love that. And that's something that makes them feel good and something that they end up sharing, which is really kind of at the heart, again, of the Ice Bucket Challenge, that phenomenon of people sharing the pouring of water. SEO changes, I'm going to talk a little bit about this. No nonprofit should ever risk their search rank. I'm sure you probably have web experts that talk to you about this at the causes that you work at, causes that you support, that maybe you're on the board of. SEO is very important. You never want to find yourself in a position where Google is doing something that hurts your rank. And yet they are doing something, and they started doing it in June of last year. And that's something that they're doing now is, as it says here, they're taking a stronger position on mobile SEO, saying they will begin knowingly demoting sites in mobile search results if they are not mobile friendly or are misconfigured. This is in their estimation, and their version of mobile friendly means no PC pages. Misconfigured is broken links, pages that don't work, forms that can't be filled out. When I was at an event last week, I met a couple of people that were just using mobile landing pages, and those landing pages were drawing on PC content. The little bot that Google has created to do the work here of finding out who's breaking their rule looks and sees if you're using PC pages. And if you're using PC pages behind a mobile landing page, they will find you and they will demote you. And so that's not the right strategy. The right strategy is to have a mobile optimized experience from beginning to end. This is very important. This means immediacy. Mobile means immediacy. This is from the for-profit world, but think about it from the standpoint of, again, the Ice Bucket Challenge. 9 out of 10 searches led to action. So people searched for ALS, they made a donation, ALS walks away with a bunch of money and a bunch of brand new donors. Impulse, impulse, impulse. In the moment of impulse, give them an easy way to fulfill that impulse. Giving is an impulse, the mobile device is an impulse, social media is an impulse. All of those things are working in your favor if you've got a great experience to share with people. This is an example of what I mean by a great experience. This is Ronald McDonald House of Kansas City on our platform. On the left is their site on our platform. You can easily see the donate button. On the right, when you first look at it on your phone, you go, I think that button up there in the right that's yellow says donate now, but I'm going to have to pinch and swipe to figure out if that's what that says. And certainly you can't read any of the navigational header there in blue. It's a good looking picture, but now the first action, again, when you're here is I got to pinch and swipe and figure out how to navigate this thing and what's on this page. With ours, as it was mentioned earlier, if you showed up to make a donation, you simply just need to tap on that big green button that's staring you in the face. If you want to look at their event calendar, you tap on events. You're taking an action. On the right, your first action is, again, you're navigating to figure out what's here. And what's happening is you're burning up the user's clock. The person's here and he said, I gave you a couple of minutes to try to get to the point, and I'm still navigating to figure out what's going on. I'm waiting for these huge PC pages to download to my device, and in the case of giving, and many times they give up. So these are some examples of what we mean by easy to navigate. You can see in all these examples, the buttons are big, they're easy to read, they're fast to load, they're easy to navigate. And again, I don't want to overstate this, but by saying it so many times, but you really can't minimize this, and that is, if your mobile experience is pinching and waiting and swiping and squinting and all of those kinds of things, that's really not a mobile strategy. Relying on a PC experience to be your mobile strategy will cause you to suffer from all of the things that we're talking about here. This is the research point that I wanted to point about regarding the 84% of nonprofits that are using PC experiences to be their mobile donation experience. Right down here it says more than 50% of people who attempt to give up. And what that means is they're dealing with a PC page on their phone. And he says at the bottom, we need to think about that. Otherwise, we will lose donations from people who want to make donations. And you should never lose a donor. They showed up, they're ready to go. It's a bit like somebody standing at your cash register at a grocery store and there's nobody there to check them out. eventually they're going to put their goods down and leave. It's the same thing in giving. Let's talk about some real-life examples. These are really good examples of things that we've seen happen, things that we've helped facilitate happen. Some of our nonprofit customers really taking to heart some of the things that are out there happening right now in the marketplace. So this is a sample donation form, and this is a current customer, and I want to show you this because they went from the one on the right. This is the City Union Mission here. It's a organization that's been around for 90 years in Kansas City. It's a Kansas City institution, does a great deal of work to help the homeless and the needy, and we love calling them a customer, and we're honored to be serving them. But this is their donation page on a mobile phone on the right. This is their donation page now on the left. Again, action on the right, what is that first field I have to fill out and how do I get there? The action on the left, I'm now going through the process. I'm completing my donation. On the right, I'm figuring out how to start my donation. So this is a campaign that we did with an arts organization here in Kansas City that supports the arts. Each June, they've got a summer solstice themed campaign called Time to Give. They've done this 2 years running. In one day in June, for the last 2 years, they raised over $10,000 in one day. And no paper was printed. Sharing was accomplished strictly through email, text message, social media, and QR codes. The day of their campaign here in Kansas City, it was the top trend on Twitter in Kansas City. So again, Ice Bucket Challenge, very trending, highest trend for a long period of time. The way to do that is to get people talking about it. And the way to get people talking about it is to give them a great experience. No one's going to talk about a bad experience. Half the donors were brand new, which is the exact same thing that ALS saw. When you're out there working social media and you allow somebody to exercise the impulse to give, saying, hey, I will give you 20 bucks right now, you're going to end up with new donors, guaranteed. So third sector today, yay, Amy. This was a story that we did with Amy about a campaign that we supported. So here you see a sports team, the KC Blues rugby team to be exact. They went up on the top of a building for the River of Refuge. They serve the homeless here in Kansas City. They serve to help homeless people get out of hotels and try to get their lives back on track. The podcast that's on Amy's website, and I think she's going to share that with you guys, is that their principal there, his name's John Wiley. John was looking for a way to shorten the distance between emotion and giving, and he said, I found it, and they are a Raise Mobile customer. And in 10 days, they raised $15,000 along with this team, and this team had something that they could share through text message, through social media, and it was an easy way to make a PayPal donation. So they raised, on our platform alone, as part of a $30,000 total campaign raise, they raised about half of it on their Raise Mobile site using PayPal. It's a fantastic story. I encourage you to listen to it. This is one where I was approached by a gentleman that I know, and he came to me and he said, we got to help Landon. And I said, what happened to Landon? And they said, well, Landon was away digging wells in Africa, and his house burned down. And I said, that's horrible. And they're like, we want to rally people around him to help him try to get his life back together. So he raised $3,000 in 48 hours through social media. It was strictly just a social media phenomenon, and that helped Landon get his life back together. And we were thrilled to help Landon get his life back together. We talked earlier about PIN credentialing, quick giving. This is our donation experience. Screens 1 and 2 are the same screen. You're picking the dollar amount and then you're entering your PIN. I've created a PIN. I never have to fill the form out to give to anybody. But this is the kind of donation experience that donors are looking for, something that's easy, secure, and fast to capture that sentiment that I do want to give, and I want to give right now in the moment. And so in this situation, I've entered my PIN, and then once I've entered my PIN, you see that I'm not filling out the form. It's coming to me and saying, is this your current information and your current credit card? Yes, then I donate. This whole process, depending on your wireless connection, is 20 seconds or less. And then at the end, I've got the opportunity to go share on social media, which is very important to people that are following me. I can show them that I'm giving to help make the world a better place, and maybe they take action on what I've shared with them, and what goes along with their message is your Raise Mobile site URL. This is what I consider to be one of the, and of course we created it, so we think very highly of it, but this is the kind of thing that people are looking for when they make gifts. So let's talk about some steps for success. And again, these are just our opinions. Text to give, it's technologically going the way of the typewriter. You don't get any donor data in most cases. It's very costly. We've got customers that have used it and said they won't do that again. And in fact, the comments that we've heard is we didn't make any money. It didn't make enough money to pay for itself. You don't own the short code that you're asking people to text your keyword to. Big Brothers Big Sisters Kansas City is a customer of ours. Their short code was sold by the owner, and they had a wealth of material in the marketplace with the short code on it that became worthless. We've talked about millennials. They don't want those charges added to their bill. It's a $10 limit. We're seeing $60 plus on average for the gift. So you got the opportunity for a 6X gift with donor data, and you get the money right away. Why would you want to wait months for your donation to see if people pay their wireless bill? A lot of nonprofits don't have that ability to kind of just hang around and wait for the money to show up and see what's going to come in. You'd rather have the money in real time, and that's something that we built knowingly at the outset, was to completely go the other direction. We connect your merchant account directly to the donate button, so when money is given, it goes directly to you. We are not an intermediary, and I predict that over the course of time, these intermediaries, that the money is given to them, and then they say, based on their terms and conditions, you'll get your money in X number of days or X number of weeks, are going to kind of go by the wayside because of the level of scrutiny around how much are these guys sitting on the money and how much are they taking while they sit on the money. And again, we've had customers that said they won't do that again. Blackbaud, I don't know if anybody knows Blackbaud. We've got an integration with them. It's pretty slick, and if anybody wants to talk more about it, we can talk more about it. But they came out and said that we see text to give as an evolutionary dead end as internet access through mobile phones continues to grow, and that's exactly what I showed earlier with the data saying that the mobile internet is kind of taken over for the PC internet. Apps, be very, very careful if you're going to head down the road of an app. They are prone to breaking, and they can break at any time for any reason. The OS updates are tough to keep up with, and it can be very expensive to keep up with the OS updates. If your app is in a marketplace, anybody can say anything. Be very, very careful about your brand, because if somebody doesn't like you, they're having a bad day, they're just mean in general, they can come out and say anything you want that could scare people off. Expensive. When I was at Sprint, I stood right there and watched MobiTV build the first live television application, and they had rooms of engineers just keeping up with the OS changes and the handset nuances. It's hard to get people to open them. Once they've got them on your device, what do you say? Do you send them an email that says, please open your mobile application from us? Or you're at an event, I want you to download my app, and then I want you to make a donation. That's two actions rather than just saying, take out your phone and text to get to our mobile website and make a donation there. It's not going to solve the Google SEO issue at all. It can't, because it's an application. Apple won't stock fundraising applications. It's a stated business practice. So all of this talk about Apple Pay and its impact for philanthropies, you still have to have an account to get your money, because they're holding the money because it was donated through somebody's iTunes account. Be careful of applications where you're part of all of the other people that are there. It's really tough to get people there, because as they're searching for you, they may see a pretty picture of a kitten and fall in love with the kitten and never get to you, and there goes their money. So discoverability, amongst a whole bunch of other things, are challenges for being part of a giving app if the app gets stocked by Apple. It's almost impossible to link an app to social media and email, because again, it's download it and then do something with it, whereas if it's browser-based like us, it's tap here to make your donation, and they're right there on top of the giving page. And then there's this. So Red Cross exec says apps stink for fundraising. So don't build an app. The first expenditure that you'll make to building an app will be your cheapest expenditure as you keep up with the OS changes. Use the browser. Everybody's phone has a browser. They ship with a browser. Everybody accesses links in email and social media. The browser is a better way to go. So here's our professional recommendation. Don't rely on a PC experience for mobile donors. These 84% of nonprofits, they have to stop. They're missing donations today. It's costing you money. Solve the Google SEO issue. Don't ever risk your SEO issue. Do what you need to do, and with us, it's very inexpensive to address, but you always have to be thinking about, again, 9 out of 10 searches lead to action. If they find you, then they're going to take action. Don't let Google sort of bury you in the search results. Let donors store their information securely. Make a gift on any screen. We do this today, and it's the way to give. Nobody wants to have to fill out the form over and over and over again to make repeat gifts. Maximize the potential of social media. So much is talked about around there's no ROI in social media. One of the reasons is, again, nonprofits are using a non-mobile optimized experience, or in the case of the millennials saying, they're not even asking me for money in social media, so you know, I'm ready to give. I would give if you went ahead and asked me. It made it easy for me to do it in the moment. Let others work for you in workplace giving and crowdfunding campaigns. This is so important. You know businesses, people, groups, organizations that would work for you if you gave them an easy way to do it. And we're different from the traditional fundraising, crowdfunding platforms. We're not holding on to your money. When the money is given, it goes directly to you. We're not making you set up a goal. The money is all yours. So there's great things that would go on if you gave people the opportunity to leverage their social reach, their email lists of customers and employees to go ask on your behalf. And it's easy to do. And it's so good for your nonprofit if you're short-staffed and really crunched for time and resources. Let other people ask for you. It's the ALS thing all over again. Other people were asking for the ALS. It brought them more money, and it brought them more new donors. So here's a responsive donation experience, which we have. It should be the rule for all nonprofits. This donate button here at Heart of America Shakespeare points to this experience, which is hosted by us. So you see two things here. A giving pane, so there's no searching for the donate button. You've already got to the donate button, and the next thing is picking your amount. And then there's some content here that we present. This is one content management system that we operate for our customers that delivers an experience that's great no matter what screen you're coming in on. And here's their mobile page. If somebody accessed that PC button that I showed you on their mobile phone, they get taken to this mobile experience, and they're able to give right then and there. So we busted some myths here this afternoon. Nobody wants to fill out a form. We see people do that all the time, all the time. There is no hesitancy that I've seen, and certainly if you've got an average gift of $60 plus, in fact, the last time we checked it last month was $63, that means that people are comfortable filling out the form. And we do see gifts over $1,000 on a regular basis. Only young people will give? No. We're seeing people of all ages and all demographies take out their phone and make gifts, set up repeat gifts, make large gifts. Lack of security. We've got any number of PCI statements around how secure our service is, and we are using best-in-class providers that serve way larger global e-commerce platforms, and that's the right thing to do. Storing the credit card information, we're seeing about 1 in 5 do that on our platform. So they will if you give them a chance, because they would like to never have to fill the form out again. So thank you very much. I'm honored and pleasured, again, to be with you today, and I look forward to any questions that you might have. So please unmute if you're on mute and fire away.